Good day, folks. Everything new under the sun. Bible prophecy is being unveiled before our eyes. There's a lot of interesting things happening in the world. One of them is China. They are intensifying military drills with Russia amid U.S. sanctions. Now, the interesting thing is, and it relates to the video that I posted on the community page. It is Kyle Bass, and he's talking about China and the troubles they're having there with their economy, losing control of the populace, of the civilians, the communist control of the country, the dictatorship. They want to stay in power. So things have to be going well in the economy. If things start going badly, if a lot of job losses happen, a lot of economic trouble, maybe mortgages and things like that start going under, there will be civil unrest. And President Xi of China does not like that. He needs to keep everybody kind of fat, dumb, and happy. Otherwise, there will be trouble. No, it's interesting that they're getting ready for war. But the other comment, and this is the video that I did post, and it is China prepares for war, a timeline. Now, very interestingly, he talks about a specific timeline as it relates to COVID, specifically to the release of COVID. He talks about some economic struggles they were having. I should have made some markers here in the presentation, but they were having some economic struggles, and they're starting to do things that kind of move them away from the United States. In terms of economic reliance, etc., and they were having trouble with their markets, with their interest rates, etc., and they needed to do something real quick to distract folks from trouble they were having. I wonder if I can find the chart here. Yeah, this is an interesting chart. The account balance. So this shows. I forget exactly what it was. You watch the video. But it's the account balance of China, and you note that just in over here, right where the image is, that's 2018. You can't really see that, I know, but there's a little spike right there, right in the middle there, that little bump in the middle, at the end there, and that is 2018, 2019. They were having some economic troubles, on their balance sheet economically. And they don't want, again, the civilian population to become unruly. So they needed a distraction, something to get a little bit more military control into place, something to have an excuse to print more money, to calm the markets, to do what they needed to do. And what happened just about that around that time? Well, conveniently, at 2019, 2020, you can see a big spike upwards at the end of that chart, and that was COVID. So it was very convenient for COVID to be released at that time, as they were having significant troubles in the country economically. And so that was a very eye-opening thing. Again, it's by Kyle Bass, and he goes through a lot of interesting things, how China's preparing for war. But again, the origins of COVID could very well be explained simply by the Chinese Communist government wanting to do something so that they could get more control and kind of rescue their economy, in the name of public health and safety. What better time to release it, right? So that's very interesting, and so they're getting ready for war as well, and we knew that, and they're used the COVID opportunity to transition as well away from the United States. This, interestingly, kind of related, is a Pfizer warehouse in the United States. It was taken out by a tornado. Now this doesn't just hit the Pfizer things for the pandemic, but a lot of other medication, which is probably not good. But it's interesting, nonetheless, that a massive Pfizer warehouse was absolutely taken out, and some are suggesting, well, could it be an act of God? This is out of Yahoo News. Russia says patients infected with deadly bacteria have escaped. Now, they're talking about Ebola, I do believe it is. But this is just one more thing. When countries are in trouble, coincidentally, conveniently, these things come out where, all of a sudden there's a virus release or something, and they have to lock down, or they have to implement more martial law or military control. Again, conveniently, just at the right time to get what they need to do, politically or otherwise. So, deadly deadly bacteria infected patients. Could they be streaming over into Ukraine or into NATO to cause another pandemic, which would cause a lockdown in the world, maybe distract the citizens from whatever the real events are that are happening? This could be the next one. You don't know. And, did they get away from a lab? I don't know. This is an interesting run as it relates to Ukraine. Russia reveals rapid growth in military production. So same as China, they're doing all they can to kind of disconnect from the United States because, as Kyle Bass stated, they don't. They were watching what happened in terms of what the U.S. did to Russia, in terms of all the sanctions on their products and services. So China's taking note of that and saying, okay, well, we're gonna make sure to stockpile grain and stockpile oil so that if the United States tries to sanction us, it's not going to work because they don't want to get caught in any situation that Russia has gotten caught in. They have eyes wide open. They're learning everything in terms of United States or NATO tactics, economically against Russia, and they're getting ready for it. They're getting ready for war against the United States. And I think Russia and China are, walking lockstep. They're probably discussing this. Maybe Russia, was meant to go in first to kind of see, to draw out of the woods and out of the blinds what the U.S. might do in a war situation. And then when Big Brother China has to get into that situation, they know all the tactics, they know all the tricks in terms of the sanctions. And ultimately, China controls everything because they control all the manufacturing. A huge percentage of the manufacturing of the whole world exists in China. So all they have to do is basically cut off any manufacturing, and the U.S. and NATO as a whole would be in serious, serious trouble. And I don't think you need to fire a shot in World War III. All you got to do is cut off communications and stop producing products for, the United States, and you've destroyed them effectively. You take away the internet via cyber attacks, and you've destroyed the United States. There would be civil unrest. U.S. military would have to, act in, America proper, if you will, contiguous states to keep people from rebelling and can control the civil unrest, and they wouldn't have the military then to go fight external wars. So that's interesting. Now this is one from War News 247. Rapid escalation. They convene Ukraine NATO Council in order to break Russian naval blockade. So Russia's taken out Odessa, the ports there, the grain agreement is disrupted and canceled. And now NATO, the next tactic NATO is doing is, okay, well, we're going to send NATO into the Black Sea, to open up the corridors for grain shipments. So this appears their next vector in terms of inserting themselves in the Ukraine-Russian war. They're trying to do it. They're just trying to get Russia to, throw the first punch so that the United States and NATO aren't said to be the causes of this. But they are trying to foment war. U.S. and NATO, they have no interest in peace. They have not shown any interest in peace. Meanwhile, Russia and China have oftentimes said, you know what, if you want peace, let's come talk. If you want peace, let's do this. And so this is just one more thing where NATO's saying, okay, well, we're not able to, egg Russia on and throw the first punch in Ukraine or at a NATO nation. Maybe we can go in with quote-unquote peacekeeping forces, as you can see in the headline there, to prevent a naval blockade. And, that would be NATO getting directly involved in the war at that point. There would be direct altercations. Russia wouldn't put up with that with heavy ships, etc., warships in the Black Sea and on, Crimea's coast, etc. So this is interesting. Zelensky request was accepted, and the reasons are the naval blockade imposed by Russia on Ukraine, the barrage of Russian bombardments against weapons and ammunition depots, as well as against port infrastructure. Again, a Ukraine-NATO Council convened within 48 hours, I guess, of today. This article is dated, July 24th, today. So this is recent news. It says information indicates that key targets have been hit. Ukrainian losses in the war material are very high, so huge losses. I've heard from other YouTubers 9 Ukrainians to every 1 Russian who was killed in this situation, and that means you're losing the war. You're losing the war very, very badly. And NATO is kind of doing the minimum possible to keep this war going, but not get, quote unquote, directly involved. Now, Russia did a strike on a military training facility and apparently hit and got a bunch of mercenaries, U.S. and UK trainers who were teaching their recruits, Ukrainian recruits. Killed a bunch of them, apparently, and there was a bunch of international flights out where they took these folks out. But did you hear that in the mainstream media news? I know. But NATO is directly involved, absolutely. This is World War III. We're in the middle of it. We have been since the start, effectively. It just hasn't been declared all out. And I don't know if it's going to go all out, but I suspect there's going to be probably some use of nuclear weapons just before the Antichrist arrives on scene, declares himself to, effectively to be the savior of the world, and gets everybody to come under his control in the name of, resolving the World War III, in the name of fixing the world economy, which is in shambles, and in the name of world starvation and famine. He will say, I'm going to fix all that. You citizens of the world just have to give me the control and power. And they will give it to him because they will be desperate. The world has to get to a desperate state before they will accept the Antichrist. And I think they will accept him, readily. Again, probably because they will be desperate. If it's not complete, total delusion, then it will be because they're desperate, they're hungry, they've got nothing else to go with, and they're in the middle of World War III, and everybody will be calling for peace, peace. We will accept any leader who will promise to bring us peace. And that's directly out of end-time Bible prophecy, folks. So incredible. So emergency NATO-Ukraine Council happening next 48 hours, apparently. So stay tuned, folks. Things are lighting up around the world and also increasing in intensity in Syria as well. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. A little news update. We'll see you in the next video.